Hello and welcome to episode 87 of the Youth Intake Challenge. Not in the season anymore, as you can see, we've resigned. This is the 5-year in the future visit, which some of you have been looking forward to with a bit of anticipation. I am, but at the same time, I'm gutted that I'm not the manager anymore. But we will see where we are. We'll see what 5 years have done to the mighty Dulwich Hamlet. Are they still in the Premier League is one of the major questions we want to find out. Before I left, I tagged all the players with a little note, so they have a yellow marker next to their name. 56 players in all we had when we left, homegrown, and we'll also see how many of them are left 5 years in the future. And also we'll do a 10 years as well in the same episode, just to see what 10 years does to a club when you're in the challenge and move on. So stick around, it should be quite an interesting one. And welcome back. So here we go then. Dulwich Hamlet, 5 years in the future. We resigned in May 2051. It's now 2056. First thing that jumps out, they're still in the Premier League. So 8th in the Premier League. That's probably 8th on alphabetical order or something at the start of the season. We'll see. Other things to note is the captain, Pedro Nguema, isn't someone we recognise. So it's probably someone who's been signed. However, we can't see straight away Fem Kutlu's in there. Stephen Harris has taken over as manager. A fairly good stats on there. I don't know what his history or background is, but he looks like a fairly handy player. So Bournemouth, Middlesbrough, Derby, quite a colourful career, and he's been at Dulwich Hamlet since we left. So he's taken on quite a lot from there. He's kept them in the league, so that's a massive positive start. Next, I suppose, is the history. So where do we go? 2051, where we finished. Was that 6th? No, I think we finished somewhere in that. I think that was our last season, 8th. So they've had a 6th, 11th, 5th, and 14th. So pretty good overall. Not been any real dip down there. I don't think there's been no more trophies because there's no Carabao Cup. We did 2 FA Cups and Europa League, so no more trophies. I'm not sure whether they got to any finals or not. No one's exceeded the most league games or most goals by a player. But yeah, still in the Premier League is a massive positive. In terms of competitions, we're looking for anything after 2051. We were runner-up in the FA Cup in our final season, so that's the one we left there. 2054 UEFA Youth League runner-up. And I think that's it really. So no further trophy success. Looking at transfers then, probably best to go back to how we were. You can see the yellow markers we had. Do we look at the squad first? 56 players we had, and now we've got. They've had quite the clear out, I think. So Kutlu and Harris are still there. Santos, Nagumu, Sarkodie, Fulks, Rooks, Liebert, Hagen, and Spahar in the first team squad. Adebowale, Bradshaw, Nagawaka, Okachukwu, and Whelan, and then I'm guessing there's none in the under-18. So yeah, so we've gone from 56 homegrown players that were there when we left the club, because some of these will obviously be homegrown, down to 15. So that's quite the cull. Looking at the transfers from when we left, then straight away. I think I did say in a previous episode they will go out and spend the full transfer budget, 189 million. Brought in some big players from Newcastle. Spent quite a lot of money. James Duckett, the biggest player they bought, 45 million. Probably strengthened a number of areas, a couple of players from Liverpool, etc. But we were interested in the players who went out. So Stuart Potter, who went to Sheffield United. Where did he go? He's been on loan. Went to Sheffield United for free. Didn't really play much in the Championship. Couple games for Wimbledon, out on loan, and then he went to Cosenza and then Spal in Italy. So playing in Serie C now. He was in Serie A. Got a few appearances in Serie A, so not too bad really. Stuart Potter still playing, 24 years old. So not one of the players who was really much of a feature for us in the squad. He had some potential, but didn't really stay with us. But what I also noticed is not really anyone else that went at that time. So in that kind of first season we moved on. Only really had one real transfer went out. There must be another one in there went on a loan to transfer, because there's a 2.1 million transfers out there. I'm not quite sure how that works out, but Most of them are on loan, so we'll step forward a year, see who else moves on. Again, another 36 million spent, so they've reined in the purse strings somewhat after the first season. Xavi from Tottenham, another couple of players from Newcastle, so again, strengthening, which I think led to their 5th place finish for a couple of seasons. First big signing out was Remy Lippmann. We tried to sell him a couple of times along the way, could never really get him out the door for any kind of value, but he's finally moved on. So he went Montpellier on loan a couple of times, Genoa on loan in Serie A, and then they bought him, and he's been in Serie A ever since. Playing quite a good number of games, currently at Parma, but Lippmann, one of them players, he never really made it first team for us, but he's moved on and he's gone on to some bigger and brighter things, I guess. Who else we got there? Lilafan Samana, one of our right wingers, moving to Burnley for free. Currently worth 19.5 to 59 million. He played quite a few games for us in that kind of last season we were in there. I think it should show on here. So 28 games in the final season he had with us. In fact, it's the season after. So 19 games for us, 28 for them. Then he went to Burnley, where he's been for 4 years playing in the Championship, getting some good ratings on there. So maybe he's found his level, and we were just a touch too high for him in the Premier League. So Samana's gone on to some bright things. Josh Harris gone to Leeds. I remember him being a fairly prominent player for us at left back. He played a huge number of games over the years, more so because we didn't really get anyone else develop or come through in that position. But he's gone to Leeds and then to MK Don. So he's had 2 transfers worth nearly 10 million. And he's another one who's kind of slotted quite nicely into the Championship. Just goes to show how we were managing with them. I don't want to say substandard, because he did the job for us for a number of years. In my eyes, he was a Premier League left back. But again, he's done some big things. Currently playing in the Championship, but good to see he's still playing. Due loan, a few more players going out on loan before we lose. Akwasi Laria never really made any kind of appearances for us. Currently playing for Dreams FC in Ghana, and I don't think we're going to see too much of him as a developed player in the major leagues or anything. So Ishmael Ngoran, Portsmouth. Again, let's see where he went. So yeah, Portsmouth, a couple of loans back to Portsmouth, gone out on loan again. So he's probably still quite young. Yeah, only 20 years old. Must have just come in through the last intake. He's going out and kind of developing himself, but still not playing at any kind of a high level as it currently stands. And then Thomas Santos, again another loan. So that was it. Not too much in terms of that second season. So quite a lot of players still intact. You might have had another couple leave at that time, but on another year, and we start to see a couple more. James Carter going to Lazio. So again, played a huge number of games for us at 29 years old. I mean, we had him all up till here, 26 games for us. Then he only played 4 the next season before going out to Lazio on loan, then a transfer, again a couple of loans as he bounces about at Lazio. But now he's back in the Premier League on loan with Brentford. So again, Premier Division for most of his career. Fairly solid career for someone at centre half. Certainly did well for us. Next on, Dimitris Tsivinganis, playing for Dijon FCO. 26-year-old, currently worth 6 million. Went to Dijon, and then he's currently gone to Roma. So again, another one playing in Serie A. Premier Division for us up till here. Then he got a huge number of games, 29 with 6 goals. I'm not quite sure where they fit him in that particular team with the other players we had, but Dijon for a couple of years in France and now currently playing in Roma. So he's gone on to some big things. Who else have we got? I mean, they've already started letting some of the players they bought in go out on loan, so it's not maybe the best business they've done. Michael Oviehan, one of our favourites, 33-year-old Nigerian playing for Dijon FC. Again, with us for a long time. We had him in the Championship, although he didn't play any games for us. Went on loan, came back, played a huge number of Premier League games for us before ultimately moving to Cardiff for 4.5 million in the Premier League, and then moving to Hoffenheim in Germany, and then transferring again. So he's commanded up to 33.25 million, still playing in League One. So I mean, I think he's been the best of the career so far. Really good for us, one of our best players, first teamer, playing that defensive midfield role, but he's moved on. Who else have we got down here? No one. So again, moving on into just last season, not this season. 137 million spent. Was it 61 million? I mean, they've certainly let the purse strings off before they've gone, brought a huge number of players in, and it must have benefited. Next we see Adam Bent left, 27-year-old, currently playing for Leeds, and that's in the Championship. So again, really wanted to play for us. We tried to give him a few games in our last season, but again, he couldn't really get in on that right side with Fulks in there. But Adam Bent currently playing in the Championship. What else have we got in here? Salivert's not one of ours. Giwa going to Burnley for just 12 million. I mean, I thought he was going to be a long-term Hamlet player. Still had some potential even when we left, but now applying his trade in the Championship with Burnley, nearly gusting up towards a 7 average. But again, maybe that's the level he should be, although he was still fairly consistent for us over the years. Maybe we tried to force him in a little bit to get some extra development out of him, but again, yeah, really good player. Still only 26. He's still got a chance to make it into the Premier League, and he's still a player who might be around in the next when we get to the 10-year update. A couple frees, again not ours. Richardo Duncan went to Al Nassr, now worth 53 to 158 million. The goalkeeper who was second fiddle to Kutlu could never really get into that kind of first team rhythm. He did come for us in our last season and he made a bit of a mess of it, letting a lot of goals, but now worth a lot of money in Saudi Arabia and playing a lot of Barnstorming, 7.6, 7.7 average for the season. You could argue it's not the best league in the world, but again, really good goalkeeper. Still only 27, so in terms of a goalkeeper, it's quite young. So another one we can probably visit in the 10 years. Who else moved on then? Again, lots of loans. Kamani Dean for £73,000. Not one we really knew much about. Came in that kind of last window, and he's not really done anything. He's been moved on, so not one we particularly need to follow. But Benedict Joseph out on loan, and then Jeremy Dinan. I think we tried to move him on a couple of times as a third, fourth choice goalkeeper, but again, he's finally moved on. Where did he go? So loan. Finally gone to MK Dons. So he had one season on loan at Coventry. We played a lot of games. Never really played too much in terms of Dulwich Hamlet. Just a perpetual loan player, and hopefully he's now found his place at MK Dons and he can go on to some bigger and brighter things, because I'll just check, I don't think he was particularly old, 29, so he's another one we might just squeeze in a review of him at the 10-year point. And then into the final transfer window, again they spent another 92 million. How different things would have been if we'd relaxed the purse strings somewhat. Lamar Lansbury moved on, again not one that we particularly had much dealings with. Benedict Joseph going to Brighton, that has surprised me. 29-year-old left winger, played a huge number of games for us, one of our star players within our final couple of seasons on that left hand side, but never hit the highs of that kind of final season we had, where he had 15 assists and 8 goals. He's not really done much since then. One good season on loan in the Championship with Brighton and must have got promoted, and they've seen fit to spend 12.5 million on him to take him into the Premier League. So again, really good player. 29, he's probably not going to get another 5 years out of him, but we'll see. And that is it in terms of the players we've gone on loan. So the rest of them must have snuck away on loan slash loan signing on fees, so minimum release clauses for playing games, etc. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the squad itself, then down to 15. Looking at the players who are still there, because they're the ones we haven't looked at yet. Fehim Kutlu, 30-year-old, 68 to 205 million. I'll be surprised if he was there. Will there be any players here when we come back in the 10-year review? I'm not sure. We've got 15 to come back and check on, but a brilliant goalkeeper for us. He must have been playing, again, he's first teamer ever since we left. Not hitting the highs maybe Richardo Duncan did in terms of average rating, but a solid goalkeeper, and I think there's no doubt he was one of the biggest successes of the club. Marlon Harris is still there, 24-year-old centre-half, currently away on loan at Coventry. So when we've moved on, he's not particularly played many games in terms of the Premier League, probably because they made some signings. Let him go out on loan on Ipswich for a season, out on loan on Coventry for another season. Will he fit his way back in the final season? Not really sure. I mean, his stats look pretty good from what we can see there. Obviously, we can't see the full stats because he's not a member of the club anymore, but he's one that we might see in 5 years' time. Thomas Santos was a promising young Centre half, again, he's still at the club, but he's being loaned out. Again, we kind of held on to him, but now he's starting to go and make some loan appearances in Israel and Romania, which maybe aren't the best leagues in terms of his development. But at 24 years old, he might well be at the club, if any at all. Alan Nagubu was one of the players touted to be maybe one of the best players of his generation. Currently 41 million to 124 million at 21 years of age. Has he played any games? He did play 22 games in the Premier League last year, which again is quite surprising considering they've made a lot of transfers. So he must be really quite a terrific player if he's 21 and he's playing first team in the Premier League. So again, another one definitely out with an outside chance of being the only player left at the club. We've got Ahmed Sarkodie. He's stayed there, 30-year-old now. There's not much we can really say about him. He was the best player when we left the club. I'm glad they've held on to him. I'm glad he's done nearly his whole career at Dulwich Hamlet. Will he be there in 5 years' time? I very much doubt it. I kind of hope he is. We will see when we come back by. I don't think he's still going to be there, although he is still delivering week in, week out for the mighty Dulwich Hamlet. Who else we got in there? Fulks, another one, a bit of a favourite, 23-year-old, probably one of the best players in terms of the potential rating we had playing in first team when we left. He's gone on and he's carried on playing week in, week out. Over a 7 average for a season is massive. Not playing up to the 38 type games, so he must be getting either some injuries or some rotation. But again, another one who might be there at that 10-year review point. Let's see if we can get at least one. Victor Roots, he's a right winger. Never really got into the first team as such when we were there. Put him out loan a couple of times. He's played one Premier League game for Dulwich Hamlet. Had a couple loan spells. Will he be there when we get back? We will see. Who else have we got? Just a couple more. Gary Liebert. So he was the main striker when we left. 29 years old now. His value's come down significantly. 126 goals in 314 games isn't bad. He got 12 goals last season. He's not hit the peak from when he got 20 goals for us in the last season. Playing similar amount of game time. He didn't have as much last year, but he was still playing a lot of games in that time. So I'm surprised he's not developed a little bit further on. Only 29, so you'd think he'd be kind of just coming off the edge of his peak now. Again, will he be there in 5 years? I very much doubt it, but we will see. Paul O'Hagan, a youngster, I don't know much about this one at all. He must have been right at the tail end, yeah. We wouldn't really have done anything. He didn't go out on loan or do anything. They've loaned him out a few times. They must see some kind of potential in him, and we'll see him when he comes back. And then finally, Darius Mahai, everyone loves a foreign striker, 22 years old. We couldn't shoehorn him into the team. He's only worth 9,000 to 26,000. I'm not convinced they're going to hang on to him much longer. He's had one previous loan where he averaged over a 7, but that was at Vanarama South. He's playing at a slightly higher level now. Can he develop enough for them to make him stay? Not sure. In terms of the rest of the stuff that we've got to see then, there's not really too much, but profile of the club. Did they end up getting a new stadium? So facilities, no, still a 13,500 all seater, which just isn't good enough for being a Premier League team. And I still think that's the main thing that kind of held us back long term, is never really committing to building a new stadium. Still got exceptional youth and academy, superb training, state-of-the-art youth facilities. So still quite a lot of good stuff in there. Still a number of affiliated clubs. Some of them I think most of them we probably added. Madison's been there right since the very beginning. Whether they're an affiliate in real life, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they were there when we took over. What have we got else to look at tactics wise? I'm not convinced that's the tactic they're playing. Again, somebody let me know in the comment section whether it just automatically defaults to a 4-4-2 view. I don't think that's what they're playing. Certainly it looks like that probably means people are playing out of position, but again, we'll have a look, see if we can see who's made most appearances for them. And that's about it really. We've seen the competitions, the best 11. Has it changed? Still Primus, Gilda, Silverio, Obiang, Spence, Sarkodie. No one's really broke into that team, which is nice to see. Some fan favourites from over the series in there. No one else has broken into it, which is good. In terms of the actual senior squad then, just in terms of what they've done in the transfer window, we might not be able to see their full stats, but Their most valuable player is Kutlu, Fulk, Sarkodi, all players which we signed. The highest one after that we'll have a look at is Atli Raffin Larenson, Icelandic centre-half. Very much a position that was needed. Huge value on him. When did they sign him? 17.5 million. Not quite as soon as we left, but he come from PSV. And yeah, I mean, he's been a really good performer for them, so we can't really grumble in terms of that. In terms of the most appearances for them, I mean, Pedro Nguema, Equatorial Guinean, another centre-half. Again, it's probably the defence was a position. We were always leaking goals, so that's two defenders we got in there. In terms of the goals, Jan Collet, Spanish striker, 25 years old, looks like he might be quite handy. I know you can't see the full spread of stats on there, but a couple seasons there, 16s and 14 goals. So that's where we are after 5 years. I'm going to spin on for another 5 years to get to the 10-year point. Have a guess in the comment section if you think anyone will be left. I think going from 56 youth players down to 15 leaves it quite likely there'll be none left by the time we get there. But what I'll do is I'll spin through, I'll come back and we'll just revisit just to see if anyone else is in there. Before I do though, just because it was definitely asked for in the comment section, is we all wanted to have a look at Soggy to see how he got on after we left. So I mean, he's currently playing for PSG, so 33-year-old American, and we're not going to see him in, I can't imagine he'll still be playing at the age of 38. The one that got away, probably the best player that the club produced in our time. Just the frustration of the fact that he went on a minimum fee release clause and we couldn't hold on to him. It just leaves me with that feeling of what might have been if we'd had him partnered with Sarkodi and OVA and in the middle of that pitch. Just to give us that stability. I mean, 178 appearances for us, 287 for Newcastle. I mean, we used him. We were far better at getting goals out of him than anybody else. 55 appearances PSG. Moving for a combined total of 147 million. They got him a snip at 83 million. And that's where the frustration lies. But Paul Soggy, still a tremendously good player. I think hands down best player we had in the entire save, although we didn't get to see the best of him or him at his peak. But glad to see he did well. Did he win any trophies? I'm sure he would have done. He's probably the one who won more trophies than anybody else. So National League winners in North America, Gold Cup winners, scoring a winning goal in the Gold Cup final, Uber Eats champion for PSG, Gold Cup, Nations League, Carabao Cup with Newcastle, FA Cup runner-up with Newcastle, UEFA Conference League winners with Newcastle, Champions League winner with Newcastle. So I think easily the most decorated player who ever came out of the club as well. So all that out of the way, Paul Soggy, best player ever. Let's just give him a round of applause, move on, and we'll come back in 10 years to see if anything of a legacy is left at the Mighty Dollar channel. And welcome back. Here we are now in 2061, 10 years after we left the club. What has happened? So first of all, we'll check at the competitions, and we can see we've got Europa Conference League. So they have actually won a trophy. In terms of league placings, they've had an 8th, a 7th, a 15th, a 7th and 11th. So what you can say, I mean, quite consistently in the Premier League since we got up there. We made progress, and they've kind of maintained that with a few big signings. But the thing to check really is how they've done in terms of the players we left behind. 56 we left, and after 5 years there was only 15 remaining. How many of them are still there now? We'll have a look at the squad. And none. So there are no players left when we went. So 10 years after we went, not one remainder of any player left in that squad. Just checking the other squads just to make sure. Yeah, so not one left. So let's have a quick look at see when they all kind of disappeared. So if we go back to when we left off, who else left out of the 15? So O'Hagan went to Derby on loan, so that's not an issue. Whelan. Aris went to Sunderland, 29 years old. He left for quite a paltry fee, but he's now worth more by the looks of it. So he went for 10.25 million, now worth a lot more. Consistently playing, yo-yoing for Sunderland between the Premier League and the Championship. So they're very much a yo-yo club, one in, one out, which it looks like it's been for a huge number of years actually. But yeah, I mean, he was a good player. He had a lot of potential. The one thing I would say about Harris that probably stopped him ever becoming a world-class defender maybe is his height. He was only 180 centimetres, and for a centre-half, that's not particularly tall, but still a good career. Still got a few years left in him. And yeah, so well done to Harris. Liebird went to Cardiff for 3.5 to 3.8. 34 years old now. I mean, again, with a few years left to go, he's played for Cardiff, predominantly in the Championship, although he's gone to Wrexham on a free transfer now. Not really captured that goal scoring form again. So when we left him in one of our final seasons, he got 20 goals. He's never quite recaptured that. He nearly did it in 2052, 53, but he's never hit the peaks as when we were at the club. And he moves on now. Who else have we got? Magawaka out on loan. So that's just a few left in that first year. Moving on another year. I mean, they spent another 20.5, quite a tight year for them, but followed it with a massive £193 million spending spree, including a 62 to 71 million on Alessandro Macedo, an Argentinian striker who, from that initial look at the stats, looks like he might have been pretty handy. So, elite striker, probably worth the money. In terms of the outgoings, again, Hagen, Whelan out on loan. Chris Fulks to Chelsea for 109 million. So one of our favourites when we were there, 28 now, playing for Real Madrid. So having a look at his history, I mean, still really good stats. Elite winger, 60 caps and 9 goals for England. So he's gone on to have a great international career since we left as well. 109 million to Chelsea, then 198 million to Real Madrid in the season just gone, averaging in the sevens, chipping in with a huge number of goals for Real Madrid in the latest season as well. So Chris Fulks, probably one of the best prospects, you would say. I mean, I think we'd have to agree he's probably done better than most in terms of his career. Did he get any wins? Champions League, FA Cup, Premier Division, Carabao Cup, Community Shield, FA Cup. With us, he got the Europa Conference League. I'm sorry, there's a Conference League after we'd left, and he got an FA Cup with us. So quite a well decorated player, possibly challenging up there for one of the best players that we've ever had at the club in terms of development. Next one, Abraham Ogachukwu, the young promising striker. He's gone to Sunderland for 6.25 million, now worth 34 to 101 million. 50 caps for Nigeria, 29 goals. Currently playing for Valencia. Again, didn't play for us while we were there. Made a few appearances with Dulwich, moved to Sunderland. I mean, 32 games, 8 goals. Somehow managed to get a big bumper money move to Valencia for 37 million. And he's done all right, if not unremarkable. But again, really good player. It's forged an international career. Won himself some trophies. I would wager. Let's have a quick look. Milestones, competitions, just the Conference League actually. So he's not really won anything since he went. Got a relegation with Sunderland. Not too good for him, but that's Ogachukwu. Anyone else go in that season? No, that was it. So moving on, another season. Well, they spent another 117 million, 45 to 60 million. Matteo Doglioli, another Argentinian, worth 142 to 425 million. Elite winger. Again, they seem to like the South Americans. Paul O'Hagan finally leaves after a few loan spells. Off he goes to Stoke. Championship, so not too bad. Not one that we really had much dealings with. Let me just have a quick look at his. Oh, we can't see his stats, but seems to have forged quite a good career. If not quite at the elite level, but still he's done pretty good nonetheless. He's the only one from ours that left in that year. 2059-60, none left. So I think that's just about all gone. I think some of them must have left on loan to buy contracts, but you can see another 199 million spent. Something must have happened there. I mean, they're certainly generating some funding. I know there's been a couple big sales in there. And into the final transfer window, Alan Nagumu and Fehim Kutlu both leaving the final transfer window. So we nearly had two there right at the end at the 10 million point. Alan Nagumu, 189 million to 210 million to Chelsea. Professional centre back, 50 caps for England, no goals. I'm guessing they're kind of playing him at centre half. And yeah, I mean that's a huge transfer. He'll have only won that one trophy since he was at the club, because he's not played for them for any amount of games. But again, he's got years on his side. He's got easily another 6 or 7 years in him, so he might well pick up a huge number of trophies now that he's at Chelsea. And then Fahim quickly we went to Man City at 35 years old. Instinctive goalkeeper. He's had a very long and distinguished career with Dulwich Hamlet. I mean, look at that. That's a huge number of years. Is that 20 years at one club? I mean, it's not something you see particularly often, but yeah, what a servant he was. Again, 485 games, conceded 683, so maybe not necessarily the best. Didn't quite get any goals. Lots of clean sheets. But that's it. So that's it in terms of all the players. The only other thing to check on really is, did Dulwich Hamlet, did they finally expand their stadium? Yeah, they did. 41,332 all here. The one thing that I think was maybe holding them back was that they didn't have a proper stadium. They've expanded. That's more than double. It's not too far off tripling the stadium size, and I think that's going to see him really good into the future and maybe climbing up the table towards winning the Premier League one day. So even despite us leaving, I think we did pretty good with the Youth Only Challenge. Since moving on, they've spent a huge number of money over a huge number of years, haven't been able to break that kind of top of the table and win the Premier League, which just shows us what a good job we did. Just before we sign off, before we disappear, we'll have a quick check on maybe Sarkodie or one or two others who left a few years ago. Ahmed Sarkodie, player, still playing at Sevilla at 35. Again, he's... when did he go? 2061? Why is he not showing up then? Why didn't he show up on the transfer window? But anyway, all the way up to 2060, 61, he's finally left. Huge number of games. One of the favourite players. Is Paul Soggy still in there? I think he probably would have retired by then. Yeah, it looks like he's retired at 36. Ended his career in Al Hilal at Saudi Arabia. 21 trophies as a team, 11 seconds, 3 bronzes, and personally he got six trophies as an individual, one silver and 4. So I think Paul Soggy still wins that trophy of the best player the club ever produced. I'm gonna hang my hat on it now and say that's for definite. Before we sign off, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's commented in the save, stuck a thumbs up, watched the video, and followed us all the way through to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed the save. Not sure what we're going to do next or when. I need to find something. I'm sad that this save's gone, but it's well and truly gone now because we've left and been on holiday for 10 years, so we won't be coming back to it. It's time to find something else. Once again, thanks very much. Take care. Enjoy your saves, and we'll see you next time. Ta-ra.